Hello YouTube, I'm Cody the Coin Raptor, and I want to go ahead and make a video about the bankruptcy court filing for FTX. And man, this report is astounding. It is a giant clusterfuck. And just, if you can stick with me through this, it's 30 pages. I'm not going to cover every single page. I'm going to cover some of the points that I've highlighted to be very important. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get right into it. So the first thing I have here is that this was done by John Ray, okay? So he has supervised situations involving alleged criminal activity and malfeasance, specifically at Enron, okay? Enron, one of the greatest corporate fraud cases in the last 25 years. All right. And he says, never in my career have I seen such a complete failure of corporate controls and a complete absence of trustworthy financial information as occurred here. All right. So he's saying that he's never seen anything this bad before. And oh my God, it's about to get worse. Okay. So they outline 4 core objectives for this bankruptcy court. This implementation of controls, right, which is accounting, auditing, cash management, cybersecurity, and basically all this stuff did not exist prior to his appointment. Now, asset protection recovery, okay, they're trying to figure out where these assets have gone, and some of them could be potentially stolen. Transparency, the pending comprehensive and transparent and deliberate investigation into claims against Mr. Samuel Bankman-Fried, all right, and then the maximization of value for all stakeholders. So they're trying to recover all that money in those investments, all right? So he's gone and identified 4 groups of businesses, which he refers to as silos. They're comprised of different entities, such as FTX US, Ledger, Alameda, the Clifton Bay Investments, just a bunch of stuff here. Okay, each of these silos were controlled by Sam Bankman-Fried. And then it goes down here and they talk about the unaudited, very important to point this out, unaudited consolidated balance sheets. So he goes and lists all these consolidated balance sheets. However, for each balance sheet, he comes out and says that they were basically unaudited, and he has no confidence in it or the information provided by the companies themselves. He says basically he has no confidence in these, and they have to be independently audited. So we're going to go skip down here. All right, so he comes down here and describes Alameda, and he says the Alameda silo, so basically the Alameda firm, was a crypto hedge fund with a diversified business trading and speculating in digital assets and related loans and securities for the account of its owners, which is Messrs and Bankman-Fried, which is 90% or so of that. So they're just coming out. He's literally just saying it's a hedge fund, okay? They did market making, they did yield farming, they did volatility trading, arbitrage. It's basically a hedge fund, okay? And then, again, they provided another balance sheet, but he says he has no confidence in it. So we're going to go skip down here. I definitely recommend you guys check out these balance sheets. I'm going to have the link in the description of this video to just take a look at it. So it comes down here and describes another silo they calls the .com silo. This is the description of the FTX platform and the fact that he says that Sam Bankman-Fried in 2021, he said was $15 billion of assets on the platform, which is approximately 10% of global volume for crypto trading at the time. That's pretty huge. And as of 2022, they had millions of registered users. However, these figures have never been verified. All right. Now, if we go down a little bit, we go past through the balance sheets. Okay. And then they give you an event timeline. So I've done a whole event timeline on this bankruptcy proceeding. Definitely recommend you guys check that out. It's on my channel. But here's more of a official timeline leading up to the Chapter 11 filing. So the debtors faced a severe liquidity crisis that necessitated the filing of these Chapter 11 cases on an emergency basis on November 11th. Okay. And then on November 10th, the Securities Commission of the Bahamas took action to freeze assets of the non-debtor FTX Market Ltd. So they got those assets frozen. And then we come down here and we see that further on Friday, November 11th, Mr. Bankman-Fried ultimately agreed to resign, resulting in the appointment as my appointment as the debtor's CEO. Okay, so just the timeline here. And then they come out and they say some actions taken after SBF's departure, right? And they point out the fact that many of these companies did not have an appropriate corporate governance. That's something we'll see in many spots here when they go through some of the activities done by these companies. So the FTX group did not maintain centralized control of its cash management procedures. Procedural failures included the absence of an accurate list of bank accounts and account signatories, as well as insufficient attention to the creditworthiness of banking partners, right? So they had no idea. They have no centralized control of the cash. So anybody, anywhere did whatever they wanted with the cash, okay? And because of historical cash management failures, the debtors do not know the exact amount of cash the FTX group held of as the petition date. So again, they don't know how much cash the company actually holds. That's a major problem. Okay, effective cash management requires liquidity forecasting, which I understand was generally absent from the FTX group historically. This is incredibly important, liquidity forecasting, because what did them in was the fact that you had a bank run and then you had multiple users taking their money off of the platform. They did not have that liquidity forecasting that would deem necessary how much money to be available or how much money to be liquid in order to support a number of customers increasing their withdrawals. So again, they did no liquidity forecasting here. All right. So they also come out and say there were some audits done on some of the balance sheets. However, one of them, the audit firm for the .com silo, was this Prager Metis. And this is a firm that advertised that they're the first ever CPA firm to officially open its metaverse headquarters in the metaverse platform Decentraland. Okay, and he's saying that he has no idea who these guys are. All right. So he has substantial concerns of the information presented in these audited financial statements, especially with those respect to the .com silo, because again, he doesn't know who these guys actually are. Some CPA firm in the metaverse did those audits. So then we take a look at the human resources, and they're basically saying the debtors, right, have been unable to prepare a complete list of who worked for the FTX group as of petition date or their terms of employment. So they don't even know who worked for the company. So they don't even know all these people that could potentially work for the company. They have no clue. And their repeated attempts to locate certain presumed employees to confirm their status have been unsuccessful to date. So they can't even find these people who supposedly worked for the FTX group. All right. So we also have here the employees of the FTX group submitted payment requests through an online chat platform where a disparate group of supervisors approved disbursements by responding with personalized emojis. Okay, so they were paid by emoji, is what he's trying to say here. That's just crazy. I can't believe they have this set up like this. All right, so the FTX group did not keep appropriate books and records or security controls with respect to its digital assets. That should be obvious at this point. Unacceptable management practices, and this is a big one, oh my God. Unacceptable management practices included the use of an unsecured group email as the root user to access confidential private keys and critically sensitive data for the FTX group companies. So, let me repeat that again. What they did was they had an unsecured group email account as the root user for private keys, okay? That is unbelievable. That is such a huge security violation right there. Anybody could have come in and stolen those private keys, and then they would have access to all that crypto. And no wonder they got hacked if this is their security measures, right? This is their standard security operating procedure, right? And critically sensitive data for the FTX group companies around the world, the absence of daily reconciliation of positions on the blockchain, the use of software to conceal the misuse of customer funds, that's fraud right there, the secret exemption of Alameda from certain aspects of FTX's auto liquidation protocol, basically saying that Alameda can do whatever it wants, okay, in regards to FTX's liquidation protocol, and the absence of independent governance as between Alameda, which is owned by SBF, and the .com silo, and basically saying that there's no independent governance there. They're controlled by the same person, okay? Now, the debtors have located and secured only a fraction of the digital assets of the FTX group they hope to recover in the Chapter 11 cases. All right, just a fraction, and they said they've gotten $740 million of cryptocurrency so far. Now, these balances exclude cryptocurrency not under the debtor's control as a result of at least $372 million of unauthorized transfers initiated on the petition date. Okay, so remember what I was talking about with those private keys being in an unsecured group email? It's not surprising that $372 million was transferred, okay, from those accounts. Now, in response, the debtors have engaged forensic analysts to identify potential debtors, assets on the blockchain, cybersecurity professionals to identify the parties responsible for the unauthorized transfers on and after the petition date, and investigators to begin the process of identifying what may be very substantial transfers of debtor property in the days, weeks, and months prior to the petition date. So it's under investigation. This whole thing is under investigation. They've hired these on-chain analytics firms to try to figure out where that money went. All right. So now, a very damning assessment here. One of the most pervasive failures of FTX business in particular is the absence of lasting records of decision making. Mr. Sam Bankman-Fried often communicated by using applications that were set to auto-delete after a certain period of time and encouraged employees to do the same. So he's communicating on platforms like Snapchat that automatically delete those communications. That seems very fishy to me. And then that basically is really the summary of everything we've gone through here and the end of it. And John J. Ray at the bottom here saying that all this stuff is true, all this stuff is accurate, and I just cannot believe the level of total incompetence that I'm seeing from this FTX bankruptcy filing, because they had multiple failures on multiple levels. Sam Bankman-Fried is deleting his messages, trying not to leave a paper trail, and on top of that, misuse of assets and unsecured root access to private keys and balance sheets that have no audit done on them whatsoever. I've never seen anything like this. And in my time analyzing markets and crypto, I have never seen anything this bad. And it just reeks of fraud and just complete and total incompetence or apathy. But anyways, if you guys like this video, please let me know, like, subscribe, and also go ahead and follow me on Twitter. I'm trying to cover as much stuff as I can, as many aspects of this FTX collapse. And again, I've done a timeline. Definitely recommend you go and take a look at that. A whole video in which I've kind of broken down the timeline of this FTX collapse. All right. So that's all I've got for you guys today. This is Cody the Coin Raptor, and I hope to see you on the next video.